G2A.com presents.
Oh my gosh, I have nothing to play. Like, nothing.
Yo kids, stop your grumble mumble and check out G2A.com. New hottest game, bam! Crazy discounts, pow! Instant delivery, man! This site's crazy. G2A.com, a global operating marketplace. Games, software, time cards, and all that your sweet gamer's heart can desire. Buy digital goods, sell digital goods, go crazy.
E-Gaming Bets. We accept bets on computer games online since 2011. Referral system for regular users and deposit for newcomers. Gaming devices store and the best choice of payment systems. Dota 2 and Hearthstone. Counter-Strike and StarCraft. World of Tanks and League of Legends. EGB.com. You know for sure who is going to win.
Good evening, CS enthusiasts from around the world. Welcome to the second season of CounterPit. I'm Jim Esso, and I'm joined by PK, and we'll be your commentary team for the Australian CounterPit qualifiers. How are you going today, PK?
Oh, mate, I'm incredibly humbled and honoured to be able to have this opportunity tonight to sit down with you and not only watch some great Counter-Strike, but be able to showcase some of Australia's finest talent on the world stage. This is an opportunity that some of the players that we'll be casting over the next few weeks haven't had an opportunity to really strut their stuff before, so I'm so excited for those guys. Obviously, CounterPit, this is the second season, but it's really our first opportunity here in Australia to get a taste of the action. They were just strictly limited to Europe in the first season, but now expanded for Season 2 to Australia and North America. Guess the teams will be vying for that $80,000 prize pool and that potential spot on the line at the LAN finals at Split, Croatia next year in March, so much to play for. Just to clarify for everyone as well, because I know there's been a few questions buzzing around the Australian scene, just trying to clarify the format. For Australia and Oceania, it is a 6-team round-robin group. Every match will be played in a BO2 format. We'll be seeing the likes of Vox Seminole, Immunity, Chiefs, Trident, Legacy, and X5 over the next 2 weeks. 15 BO2s, all vying for that first place in that trip to Croatia next year. But formalities aside though, Jim, what does it actually mean to the teams? Apart from the chance to go overseas, what does it mean for the teams? Because there's more riding on it than just a first place.
Yeah, this is a lot more than the regular Counter-Strike game that these guys are going to be playing. Of course, we in the Australian scene, we're very familiar with this period of time during the scene. It's close to Christmas, end of November. Our domestic leagues have finished up. There's generally not a lot to, to play for traditionally at this time. So, I mean, obviously it's a chance to keep things ticking over for a lot of these teams and keep things going quite regularly. But I mean, a massive chance for these guys to compete overseas, and I guess for many of them fulfill a lifelong dream. That esports dream, that Counter-Strike dream. I mean, we've seen, I guess, Munity and Renegades can perform quite well overseas, and more recently we've seen Legacy, hold their heads high against some of the best in the world. And I think CounterPit's expansion to the Australian scene is recognition of that talent, and as we say, it's a chance for these guys to fulfill that dream, to show what they've got to the world. And I think CounterPit's a fantastic avenue to do that. But look, of course, we have the privilege of bringing you along for the ride. And,
well, that's exactly right. You're exactly right. I mean, tonight will be the first match of the season. We will be able to bring you Immunity versus Trident. It's the only match tonight, so we'll be nice and fresh by the end of it. But I'm so happy, so excited to see Trident given this opportunity, I must be honest. I know that these guys, for those who out there who might not be as familiar, might be looking at a few strange names, wondering if your skins are safe or not. Team Trident is actually a really young, up-and-coming team within the Australian scene. They're all very young players, but they're probably one of the hardest working teams out there. They spend a lot of time practicing, and really, so far, they've been together about 5 months, and they've really met every challenge that has come their way so far with flying colours. And I think the pure fact for them getting this opportunity, it's not just good for them, it's also good for the scene, because it really gives that, gives everyone else out there that chance and that almost shot, just knowing that if you apply your trade and really work hard, that these opportunities can come your way. So it's a really positive sign. The lineup tonight, the captain is Yellow. That may have 1 W or about 20 Ws, depending on what mood he is in.
About 20 on HLT.
About 20, but he is a very quiet character, but don't let that deceive you. He's actually really experienced in FPS games. He's actually represented Australia before overseas for Battlefield, but he's one of the most humble characters. He'd be the last to tell you that. Their in-game leader, close alongside Yellow, is Lonsdale. Actually hails from Belarus. He's actually really recognised within the Australian scene for his strategic mind. He puts in a lot of outside hours, apart from the normal team practice, developing strategies and studying up on opposition and really trying to come up with a structured T-side that has lots of set executes, but also incorporates lots of fakes and really has well-defined roles. So keep an eye out for that strategic element tonight. That'll be Lonsdale's hard work. Burn, are you okay? Bit of a mouthful, but he is the entry fragger, and he is a bit of a handful as well trying to stop him, because he's very impactful, very explosive, and if you're looking for the frags tonight, he's the one to watch on Trident's side. Fourth, and certainly not least though, is Break. He's probably more of the lurker in the team, but very calm, very intelligent, and very good in the clutch, so he is the player that you want last alive for you. And lastly, Aiden. Bit of a character. He's the AWPer in the team. Does pick up that rifle when required, as long as it's fitting the strategies that Lonsdale is calling. Definitely has that movie material within him. He can go absolutely huge and deliver those multi-frag rounds, but the key for Aiden will be, can he bring that consistency?
Definitely. On the flip side of the coin, we have a team in Immunity that most people, I guess, most of our viewers will be very familiar with. These guys receive, obviously, a fair bit of international attention, but I think we might, I guess, cut to the chase with these guys. They've got... playing for them tonight, of course, Imagine. Now, he's probably one of the most consistent and I dare say valuable players in this team, just because he has a great understanding of the mechanics and use of those sort of, I guess, tips and tricks that he's got that keep him alive for quite a long time in the round. And then, of course, you've got his teammate in James. Now, James is a smart, hard-working player. I guess it cops a little bit of flack sometimes, but I guess people need to understand that he sacrifices his own gameplay to really help his teammates succeed and set them up for a lot of the rounds. So, I mean, I guess the guys that now take a little bit of the limelight, you've got Rike, one of the team's AWPer. Now, I guess he's regarded by his peers as one of the best players in Australian Counter-Strike. He's impactful, he's explosive, he's really aggressive and confident with that AWP, and I guess... yeah, he catches a lot of his opponents off guard with just how aggressive he is sometimes. These guys tonight obviously will be led by Sniper. Now, he's an experienced head. He's a very calm, cool and collected player and prides himself on preparation and hard work that the team put in. So he's a really, I guess, a micromanager of his team, of an in-game leader. So he really likes to control what's going on in the round. And, of course, the big power fragger, the entry fragger, Ustillo. This guy is probably one of the best pure aimers in Australia. Fantastic pistol player, really makes his impact on the round. He's really aggressive, and the team have really incorporated that into their strategy. So, He's certainly an important piece of the immunity puzzle.
It's definitely an imposing lineup when you look at Team IM. I mean, the biggest difference between the two teams that jumps off the page when you look at the lineups is the experience factor. I mean, for Team Trident, this is really their first shot at international experience, really first shot playing in this sort of Tier 1 competition within Australia as well. They've actually been climbing through the ranks and progressively getting better and better, but this is certainly the biggest challenge to date for them. And it'll be interesting for me to see really how they face that public scrutiny and expectations that come with these big name competitions. And I guess with that, and tying aside with that, is also when in these big name competitions, when you're facing these more skilled players and a lot harder teams that match up against. So it'll be a tough ask for them. Whereas Immunity, I think the stat we were quoting last few competitions was they've attended 6 international competitions this year. They're the total opposite, the most experienced, cool, calm, collected heads you can find. And they're certainly going to be well prepared, at least mentally, coming to tonight's match, even if they haven't played as much Counter-Strike as they would have liked leading up to the event.
Definitely, and I think, I guess, when the two of them match up, you really need to speak to the experience of Team Immunity. They've got experience in these sort of formats of competition. I think that experience is going to be really quite telling when these two obviously play out their maps. And look, I really just think the inexperience at the moment of Trident, having come through the Division 2 of our domestic league, and really just breaking into the top tier of Australian CS, will probably be their downfall tonight.
So you're predicting, you're quite clear then, if I read between the lines, you're predicting an Immunity win then, I take it.
Look, I just think, the experience is going to be the telling factor here. I think, 6 international competitions in 6 months. I mean, they haven't played a lot recently, but I just think the experience that these guys possess is simply just going to win out. I think Immunity, after, experiencing disappointment in not qualifying for Face It, and I guess losing that domestic league final to Chiefs, they've got a point to prove, and I think CounterPit provides the perfect opportunity for these guys to do that. So they'll be taking this opportunity with both hands.
We saw a tweet from Sniper today, which was along the lines of, I think, acknowledging the fact that they hadn't played very much Counter-Strike. I think over the past 2 weeks, Sniper himself, the in-game leader for Team Immunity, has clocked up less than 10 hours. Most of his time's been spent on Fallout, but he was almost suggesting in that tweet that they were a little bit nervous coming into tonight's match. Well, I must admit, I don't buy that for a second. I think these guys are the sort of confident players that when they look at tonight's match and see they're facing Trident, they're going to be extremely confident. I think that was a bit of showmanship on Sniper's part. I think with Trident, I think the key thing is, in the end, I'm probably going to agree with you. I think that Immunity, you have to say, are the favourites for tonight's match. I think a 2-0 is probably realistic. But what I do want to say, and for all those Trident sympathisers out there, I don't think it's going to be perhaps the beatdown that some people would be expecting. I mean, if you look at Team Trident, they're one of the most hard-working, motivated group of players that you can find in the Australian scene. They're practicing 5 or 6 days a week, hours on time, working around their schedules and their work hours as they possibly can. They've really embraced the tag of giant killers. I mean, you look at their last LAN performance, they took down multiple teams in Div 1, some of which are featuring in this CounterPit league, such as XL5 and Vox Seminole. And they've really shown that, I guess, depending on, what challenges you throw at them, they can tick those off and beat these big name teams. And really, it's their teamwork and their chemistry that really keeps them alive and keeps that hope going, even when they are down in matches and in difficult situations. They never give up, these guys, and that's what I'll be looking to tonight. I want to see these guys, even if they don't walk away with a win at the end, I think that if they can get off to a strong start and put up some good numbers on Team Immunity, that it will bode well for them, not only for the rest of this competition, but also for their development as a team moving forward past this next 2 weeks.
Definitely, and I think the CounterPit League is a great testing ground for what they want to achieve. So, look, I think at the moment we're just waiting for the teams to get into the server. I think at the moment they're just having a little bit of a server issue. So stay patient with us there, but I don't believe Ustillo has joined the server either, so we're not really about to get underway anytime soon.
That's all right, Jim. Some say that our best facet of our casting is the fact that we can talk about nonsense for as long as we like. So this is probably our forte, but the maps have been decided, as we understand. So the first map, it is a BO2, remember. So the first map will be Mirage tonight. That was Trident's choice. The second map following that will be Cache, which was Team Immunity's choice, obviously. Just for those who might not be familiar as well, it's probably worth noting, especially given that this is the first game of the season, the format of those map choices. It was actually starting from the pool of 7. Each team was given 2 vetoes, so essentially vetoing it down to the last 3 maps and then choosing out 1 each that they'd like to play. So Mirage and Cache are the 2 maps. Now, I certainly love my numbers. I'm sure you'll If you can put up with me for the next couple of weeks, you'll get to learn that. But the key thing for me when we look at those two maps in particular is that Cache is actually Team Trident's strongest map. Now, I'm not sure if perhaps there's always the debate, as I guess the saying goes when you're doing map vetoes, whether you veto your enemy's weaknesses or veto to your own strengths. But in this case, Immunity have chosen Trident's best map, Cache. They've been giant killers on that map, taking down Chiefs, Exile 5 and other big names along the way over the last 3 months in isolation. So they'll be happy with Cache. They'll also be quite content with Mirage, because Mirage is definitely a map that lends itself to that strategic gameplay that really is the forte and the strength of Team Trident. So I think from their point of view, they'll definitely be happy with the two maps that have come through. I think if you're Team Immunity, they'd probably be happy with any map, to be honest. They definitely backed themselves tonight. But I think we've definitely seen in recent competitions the strength on these two maps as well. So map-wise, I think both in-game leaders will be having a bit of a chuckle to themselves, thinking they've come away the victor there.
Yeah, I think definitely what speaks to me most is just that confidence that Trident had. Now, I would have picked Team Immunity to actually go with Mirage first. Instead, it's gone Trident's way, and obviously Trident are quite confident with that. So that's probably the most interesting aspect for me. I think Trident would, I guess, running straight into the Lion's Den there and picking Mirage. So, I mean, it's not unlike them to really embrace the underdog tag and take on their opponents. You only need to look at their knife rounds to see that. I think what they're most famous for, and if you're up to date with the Reddit threads, is just how creative they can be with their knife rounds. Now, they normally don't choose to actually face their opponent in a traditional knife round. These guys are actually, I guess, famous for killing themselves in the most creative way and taking the less favoured side on every map. So I think that, to me, speaks with confidence.
You better explain that, because that sounds like, on face value, the most horrible strategy known to mankind. Deliberately taking the worst side. Would you like to explain the context behind their decision-making for that?
Yeah, look, these guys do believe that their T-sides are some of the best. Now, there's not too many, I guess, core T-side maps out there in the Counter-Strike rotation at the moment, so why not start on their best side? Normally sets them up with a strong start, and against tough opponents, it's certainly what you need. So, these guys basically are saying to anyone, we're not afraid of you, come at us, and we'll be ready to go.
It's really, really risky, though, especially when you're talking... I mean, that goes without saying, but even more so when you're talking about Team Immunity, because I guess Team Immunity have that reputation, and well-deserved reputation, as being one of the best starting teams in the country and in the region. What I mean by that is, once they've got on a roll, if they start the map off quite strong, they just lead from the front, and it's very hard to halt their momentum. They're very, very astute in terms of the financial game and really controlling not only their economy, but also their enemy's economy. So I think if Trident are going to have any chance tonight, it's important that they do get off to that early start, as is always the case if you're an underdog, I guess, but even more so tonight. They can get off to get those early rounds, perhaps a pistol round and a first gun round under their belt, and that'll really give them something to build from and really start to get Immunity questioning themselves and starting to, I guess, have to second guess themselves is their best chance, I feel.
Yeah, and I think one of the notes and the key notes that we took out from Trident's gameplay, we've actually casted quite a lot of their matches throughout their regular season, was that if things sort of get away from them quite early, they can snowball. So with Immunity being quite good quite early, they really will need to, I guess, overcome any pre-game nerves that they might have and really focus on the task at hand, because otherwise Team Immunity will simply just, I guess, plough over the top of them, to use one of the most popular terms.
If we're just looking at the lineups for themselves, not to backtrack at all, but I guess the obvious question that I feel I have to ask you, it'd be unjust to Immunity not to ask this, is do you think, honestly, that Trident have the firepower? Or alternatively, how can they find that firepower to match it? Because Ricky and Nistillo in particular are two of, if not the sharpest players in the country at this time. And they've proved themselves on the international stage. They can frag anything that moves. How can Trident possibly counter that?
How can Trident possibly counter that? Look, I think they need to really back themselves, because I think a key component of Trident's gameplay is their teamwork. And I guess that self-belief and that belief in their teammates that they can actually take on any team. And I think that's going to be key to their victory tonight, is just that, I guess, undying faith they place in each other as a team.
It took you a second there to think about a possible solution to the situation or an answer there, but I think that's probably a fair indication that really it will be a tough ask for them. I don't think anyone's doubting that. They've never actually played each other, though, head-to-head, so this will be a first. But I think that everything you just said is spot on. I think probably the only player who could probably match it aim for aim would be Burn, Are You Okay? He's probably the sharpest on the team. But I think it's going to be a very tough ask to try and slow down these immunity guys once they get rolling. So if they can get off to a strong start, that'd be probably their best bet. They're actually two of the more established lineups that we've got, quite interestingly, within the Australian team as well, Australian scene as well. I think Team Immunity have been together now in its current iteration since mid-April, so that's probably, do the maths for me, Jim, mid-April, I think that's about 6 or 7 months.
That is
whereas, correct. Yeah, I think I'm on the money, 7 months, whereas Team Trident have actually been together for 5 months. Now, in our volatile Australian scene as it is, that's actually a lifetime for some of these players, so they should be given due credit. The term that's often thrown around is OCE shuffle, given the frequency at which teams like to change lineups these days in our scene. So that's a nice little fact to know, that these are two of the more long-standing teams and certainly had different roads to get to where they are now. Team Immunity, the high flyers, travelling around the globe, winning, or if not winning, coming very high at domestic events, whereas Team Trident have really had to start from the bottom and work their way up. But in the end, here they are meeting each other on the first night of the CounterPit Season 2, and both teams with an equal shot at going overseas and really laying claim to, for the time being, one of the best teams, if not the best team in Australia.
I think you're exactly right there, and I think, I guess, from any point of view, they really want to showcase that here. I mean, they are on show to the world with the CounterPit League, so I think they're really going to embrace that opportunity. These guys are comfortable with the pressure on their shoulders, and I think an opponent like Trident, as I said, a little bit inexperienced, I really haven't, I guess, encountered any of these sorts of experiences along the way. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to be a fantastic experience for these guys. They are looking to really establish themselves in the Tier 1 of Australian CS, and look, we know how, I guess, underrated sometimes the Australian CS scene can be on an international scale. So, look, I think it's all good things ahead. But, yeah, we do apologise to everyone at the moment because there is a server issue at the moment. I know the scorebot on hltv.org does say that the scores are live and it's 13-9. That's not the case. eBot's still relaying the score, even though the server is not live. So Warmod, or should I say eBot, is actually running and relaying the incorrect score.
Yeah, of course, we want to make sure that everyone has the prime conditions here so that they can all bring their best fragging potential. That's no questions at all. And with this being the only game on tonight, I don't think there's an issue at all in taking these extra few minutes at the beginning just to make sure that everyone's comfortable and everything's working as it should be. Certainly all the admin team and whatnot are working very, very hard at the moment trying to get everything fine. So whilst that's going on, Jim, I'm just looking at the recent international events for Team Immunity. Just for those, I guess, international viewers who might recognise the name. I think the last time we saw them in action against some of the big name teams was at the ESL Crown Invitational, I think at the beginning of October. They've actually proved their worth there where they're able to take down Cloud9, also Renegades, on the way to making that final and just losing out to VP. So these guys have definitely had this sort of big game experience before that we're talking about, so they'll definitely be in their element tonight. What do you think about the other teams that we've got waiting on the sidelines, Jim? So we've got 4 other teams, of course, being Chiefs, Legacy, Fox, and XL5, waiting to go. They'll be strutting this stuff over the next few days. I think we've got 15 matches crammed into 11 days. So you do the maths. It tells you it'll be a pretty busy schedule.
It is.
Don't have to be a mathematician. But what do you think that they'll be? Do you think if you were in their shoes, would you be sitting down tonight watching, or would you be taking this time to prepare, or what would be your mindset?
Look, if I was any other team in the competition, first and foremost, I'd be watching this game. Simply because from a tactical perspective, you want to see what sort of form, I guess, Team Immunity are in. Now, we spoke about them taking the break away from CS, and I guess really it would be up to the teams now to gauge whether or not they're playing on the same level that we know they're capable of. So I think, yeah, that time off will mean they'll have to, I guess, blow out a few cobwebs, and in a BO2 I don't think you really can be afforded that luxury sometimes. So yeah, I think definitely first and foremost they should be watching, and then obviously there's really not too much time to tweak anything else because the schedule doesn't allow for it. As we said, so many games in such a short period of time. It's quite a hectic season, and can be over within a flurry, I guess.
Well, that's right, but it's so important, as we've seen in other leagues, that I guess you're always switched on and ready to go at a moment's notice, because one game here or there can make or break your entire season. So There's no such thing, I guess, as warming up or having a throwaway match in the season. Every match is crucial and important at the end of the day. Of course, being the round-robin system, head-to-head might come into the equation at the end, or points, all those sorts of things. So you can be guaranteed that these teams will definitely be cognizant of that and will be bringing their best to the table tonight. I actually thought that was interesting that Immunity have actually taken the break. I mean, I'm not sure what your thoughts are there, but for those who might not be familiar, I guess the events leading up to this break, which has been about 4 weeks now and counting, was actually they went to the land finals of PAX Australia, which is a giant gaming exhibition held each year here in Australia. It was actually originally an American exhibition that expanded to Australia a few years ago. But they went to the land finals. It was a 4-team competition. They actually fell short. They were the favourites, but actually fell short in the grand final and lost out to another one of our competition competitors in Team Chiefs, which they were bitterly disappointed about. And then as a result of that, they haven't decided to step away and rework things, or perhaps give some time and thought to what they can do to turn things around and where things went wrong. They've actually stepped away from the game altogether. Did that surprise you? I must admit I found that quite surprising.
Yes and no. I mean, they did have the knowledge, obviously, that the CounterPit League was rumoured to be happening around this time. So I guess in that sense, yes, it was surprising that they did opt to take a break, particularly after a CGPL final, and particularly given how much exposure they've had lately. But then on the flip side of the coin, as we do like to say, not surprising at all, because this time, as we said during the year, traditionally there aren't any competitions on per se. So this time of the year, people go away with their families for Christmas holidays and whatnot. So I think a team break, particularly after a hectic schedule, as these guys have endured throughout the year, is a welcome break.
I think a true family man would recognise the importance of CounterPit and would insist that they did not take holidays, Jim, and would keep practicing and playing throughout. A true family member would stand up to the occasion.
That's true, actually.
But for every other team, though, it's had the opposite effect. We pointed out Trident and their rigorous practice schedule, but also Chiefs, Fox 7 or XL5, they've all been on the same page where they've ramped it up a notch. They recognise what this opportunity means and how, I guess, in such a short period of time, if you're firing and playing well for 2 weeks, you could potentially be going to Croatia next year in March. I think that's 3.5 months, 3 months. So every other team has taken the opposite approach where they've ramped it up. Immunity have taken a back seat. So interesting to see how that pays off. Like you said, they might be coming in tonight rusty, but I don't think that these are the players that it will affect them to the extent that they'd lose. I think that maybe they might lose more rounds on the first map, but I think once they get into their groove, expect to see them pull away, take the first map, and it might even be a second, easier map for them once they're hitting their shots and feeling a little bit more comfortable in the game that is CSGO.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think it might take a few rounds for these guys to warm into it, some immunity, but yeah, Trident, as we said, they have not taken their foot off the gas at all in this off-season. They've actually, as we said, stripped down their gameplay, reworked it all, and they'll be coming into this, I guess, with the confidence that would allow them as well, because for a long time, Trident were the mark of strategy in Australia, just because I guess they had quite a lot of set executes that took a lot of teams off guard, and it wasn't uncommon to see teams basing their strategy around what Trident were doing in their matches. So they've recognised that, gone back to the drawing board, and I guess worked on becoming unpredictable.
What makes that story even better, though, is that when teams started recognising the strength of Trident in terms of that strategic ability and I guess the executes and the fakes that they were bringing to the game, the point at which they were getting recognised for that strength was when they were playing Division 1 opponents and Division 2 opponents, I should say, and Division 2 competition. And yet they were still making that much of an impact and showing that much of, I guess, what really in the scene was a white rabbit, in the sense that it was something different. It was something that people hadn't seen before, and their gameplays weren't following the same mold as Team Trident. So for a Div 1 team to step back and go, I like what this Div 2 team at the time is doing and bringing to the game, that really says something about and gives a lot of credit, I think, to the game that Trident were playing and their approach and attitude they had.
100%. I think that is testament to the hard work that these guys do, and when they work on their game, they really, I guess, make other teams sit up and take notice. And when they play, it's certainly an interesting spectacle, that's for sure.
I must be honest, the last two comments you've actually said 100% agree with me. Now that's probably quite
That's
rare,
strange.
I think. Normally you don't agree with me at all, so I'm a little bit off guard at the moment. It's all a bit upside down. We'll probably see that more as the season goes on. What do you think about in terms of the I'm just thinking in terms of the 10 players, another, I guess, parallel that I'd probably draw between them that some people might not recognise or appreciate. I guess we've had the privilege of meeting all of these people at LAN, watching them at LAN, playing against them at LAN ourselves, some better than others, but in any case, something about them, a key characteristic is how calm and quiet they all are. Almost all 10 players, maybe one or two exceptions, but for the most part, it's quite contrary and different to a lot of other Australian teams. They're all quite calm and composed.
That's it. They're one of the least vocal teams out there. I know Immunity can fire up from time to time, but I mean, on the whole, they are very quiet. I mean, Australian teams, funnily enough, are some of the loudest at LAN. I think those of you who have followed our scene for a while probably remember a player named Gazza. Now, he was known internationally for his antics, and I think a lot of Australian players, funnily enough, following the same footsteps. I mean, he wasn't a rare case here in Australia, but I think it was just the fact that he was on show to the world that he really got a lot of recognition for that. So that's just the norm here in Australia. The players play with their heart on their sleeve, per se, and I certainly think it's part of the competitive nature that a lot of these players possess.
I think you're spot on. It's certainly...
We're agreeing with each other. What's going on?
Oh no, it's CounterPit, mate. It's
delays. They do strange things
affecting me. Yeah, different things happen when you go international. But no, you're quite right. It is worth noting that it is different. I think that if you were to search YouTube, you'd still find videos of Australian CS players such as Gazza, like you talk about, dancing up and down at international LAN events when he represented Australia, putting on quite a show. And that was certainly recognised as the norm. So for these guys, I think it's important, obviously, that whatever works for your team, whilst there are teams that are vocal, if that's not the sort of people that you are and the characteristics that you have, of course, why change that? I think that in this case, they're all very calm. I always tended to find that I guess sometimes that does aid better communication as well, when people are a little bit more quiet and a little bit more mindful of the situation and are able to focus more on the communication as opposed to jumping up and down screaming at each other, that certainly helps from a team perspective. And I think that it's certainly the case for Team Trident because we saw how well they can perform on LAN, and Immunity that obviously speaks for themselves, but their communication was on point. They were making fantastic reads. Lonsdale got a lot of credit at the last LAN event that they went to for some of his mid-round calls that he was making. Got a lot of praise from a lot of people, players, casters and spectators. And I think that their communication was really on point. So I think that this format, whilst they won't be able to sit next to each other, I think that their calm, very composed nature of these players will bode well for them as the season progresses.
Yeah, it's interesting that. I mean,
Thanks.
the Australian scene is full of colourful characters. I think obviously being directly involved with it ourselves for quite some period of time, we've had the pleasure of seeing many different players come and go, but I think on the whole, certainly a very enjoyable scene to be a part of, just because there are so many people that are willing to, I guess, speak their mind and not let, any sort of inhibition get in the way of showing their true selves. So I think as we continue to bring the Australian Counter-Strike scene to the world, many of you will recognise that fact. So very happy to share that with you all.
That's right. We'll just remind everyone at home at the moment that the reason we are still talking, because I know that you're much more interested to watch the Counter-Strike, as are we, than hear us talking. The players are just currently trying to resolve some technical issues, so please bear with us as that all gets sorted. This is the only game tonight. It is a BO2. I know people are desperately wanting to see whether their skins will be safe. I saw an absurd statistic, like 85% of people, I think, on CSGO Lounge would bet on Team Immunity. I think that that's probably a little bit far-fetched. I think Team Trident have a better chance, but we are both predicting a 2-0 win. But yes, I know a lot of interest has been gauged and gathered from this first match in the CounterPit season. What about some of the unheralded players? I feel like this is a nice opportunity because, like you said before in your brief little intro we gave for Team Immunity, we singled out some of the power fraggers in the team and some of the big in-game names, some of the strategic minds. And we also, I think you made a great point where you mentioned that some of the players in EMAG and James don't always get that credit they deserve. Well, maybe this is our chance, Jim, to give them that spotlight for a second whilst everyone is frantically waiting for the match to start. Give them the spotlight, Jim. Take it away.
Give them the spotlight, you say? All right.
Yes.
I guess EMAG got a little bit of a rap from us, but look, we know firsthand that he is probably one of the most consistent fraggers in Australian Counter-Strike. Now, a strong understanding of not just the mechanics of the game, but also the strategy behind it as well, make him one of the most dangerous players on Team Immunity's side, simply for the fact that in many situations, should I say, he's able to keep himself alive long enough in the round that he can really make an impact, in the sense that, you know, he's always got a pop flash up his sleeve, he's always got a smoke up his sleeve, he's always got a trick in any given situation that could turn the round completely on its head. And I guess every team could do with a player like that. I know he's certainly on a lot of players' radars amongst his peers for that ability, and I think certainly he doesn't get enough recognition for it.
I think that's a bit of an understatement as well. I agree with everything he said, but how about this for a little fact? I know that people normally associate, when all those sort of rumours fly around about if someone from Unity was to leave, or who the best player was that you'd pick up, obviously the big names such as Ricky and Ustillo and whatnot are always thrown around. Well, from his peers, we're talking about other Div 1 players, such as some of the teams that might be appearing over the next couple of weeks. They have said and told us in confidence that if they were to ever pick up someone from Team Immunity, Imagine would be the first player they turn to. Not some of these other big name fraggers, but Imagine, just because of, I guess, how great of a player he is and what he contributes and provides to a team. He was actually a top 3 Australian CS Source player back in his day. Actually quite late to transition across to CSGO as well, from what we understand. So the fact that he's been able in such a short period of time to be able to establish himself within such a top tier team, travel overseas, really get that reputation amongst his peers and the community. He's very well liked. It's great to see.
Yeah, I will add to that too. He was quite late to the CSGO phenomenon. He obviously took a break from the game, and I think only picked the game up very late in the in 2012, maybe 2013, I think, at some point. So he was already behind the curve and has managed to actually get himself in front. And I mean, that's just pays tribute to how hardworking he actually is, and he's a student of the game, that's for sure.
Okay, so it's fair to say after that couple of minutes, EMAG is now a star in people's eyes, Jim. So let's tick him off the book. He is now getting all that international recognition he needs.
Accolades.
Yeah, he's getting the accolades now. What about James? Give James your best impression.
I think he's probably one of the most talked about players, not in the sense that he gets the accolades and the recognition from external parties, but certainly because a lot of the times when people see Team Immunity, they look at the scoreboard and they look at the results, and they don't see him there, you know, at the top of the scoreboard with these fantastic frags counts or fantastic DPR counts. But I think his contribution to the team is certainly deeper than that. Now, he's one of those guys that will, you know, perform the little 1%ers. He'll take the support role. He'll sacrifice a lot of his natural gameplay to actually perform a role for the team. Now, a lot of the pressure that he actually receives on his position in the team, if some have put it, is an external pressure. From within the team, it's certainly quite clear that his position in the team is safe. They've stuck with the same roster for quite a while. They're very happy, obviously, with their results domestically. Their results internationally have been gradually improving, and I think that's a testament to the fact that these guys are certainly growing into their roles. So I think a lot of the flack that he does cop is certainly unheralded, at least in terms of his Counter-Strike ability. I think certainly he provides something to this team that is not measured on the scoreboard.
That's right. I think you summed that up perfectly. And as well, I think the takeaway is he's not the sort of player that needs that external validation. He understands what he provides to the team. He understands his worth, and his teammates do as well. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. It's not the public or the outside expectations that the community or public may place on you. It's what yourself and your teammates are communicating and making sure that everyone's on the same page. And he doesn't need that external validation. So he's one of those few players that can put all that sort of nonsense aside and just get the job done, which is always great to see.
Definitely. How about I throw a few at you now?
Oh, mate, you give your best shot.
Look, I think obviously the Trident guys on the flip side of things aren't given really any exposure because they're quite a new team. Maybe you should shed some light on... I know you were giving Lonsdale quite a rap, but you didn't really talk about Aiden Hu. Now, he's not just a one-dimensional player, is he?
No, quite the opposite. Whilst we did point out, and I think he'd be the first to admit his, I guess, role within the team is an AWPer, the key thing to note that distinguishes Aiden from other AWPers, at least in the top of our Australian or Oceanic scene, is that he actually doesn't AWP very often on the T side. Now, that's not by his choice. It actually, the team captain, or the in-game leader, I should say, in Lonsdale, is actually very specific about when Aiden can use the orb, depending on, I guess, the map they're playing, or the play style in which they're embracing, or the opposition they're up against. So he's far less likely to use it on the T side. Perhaps might be required to use those rifles a bit more. But like you're saying, he's not one-dimensional. He's a very solid rifler. His team are very confident and trust his ability to rifle. CT side, though, you will see him picking up that big dragon lore of his that he does possess nearly every round, and very good at holding those lines. So I think it's a testament to his ability to read the game, the fact that he can pick up on multiple occasions these big frag rounds that would be moving material and anything that you see these days. The fact that he's able to just seamlessly and so easily as it would appear get those sort of rounds is a testament to his ability and ability to read the game. It's just whether he can continuously and consistently produce that sort of top-level gameplay that we know he can produce.
I think that's a perfect summation of the player that is Aiden. Now, I guess you really didn't talk about one of the other players on Trident's team, which was Break. Now, he's a very interesting character, isn't he?
He's one of the most interesting, putting aside everything CS related, one of the most interesting in real life as well. He's well known for being, and I say this with a giant smile on my face, because he's a lovely, lovely person, but he's a bit of a troll, IRL. He has a bit of a laugh, likes to make a few jokes and stir some people up. And he's always got this quirky little facial expression that you can never tell if he's being serious or not, but he's a wonderful personality, a very, very kind and very generous person. And that really just, I'm so happy that he's getting this opportunity as well, because he really deserves it. He's one of the most intelligent players, certainly within his team, but also within that upper echelon of CS. Even though he's the lurker within the team, as we mentioned before, he actually spends a lot of time outside of practice hours in private service with Lonsdale, the in-game leader, developing team strategy and, I guess, setting up dry runs and practicing executes, just because he has that much of an insight and understanding about the game. I think it really suits his role, but it also, I think, when they're paired up, Lonsdale and Break together in a team, they really work well together. Probably the other thing, I know a lot of players, especially in our scene, like to lay claim to this fact, probably some unjustifiably, but Break is probably the one player I would say who is a lot better on LAN than he is online in our scene. That comes from both his peers and from having the opportunity to watch him, but I don't know whether he just has a horrible PC or whether he just thrives on that atmosphere of being around his team and being in the heat of the battle, but he is one player who is significantly better on LAN than online. So for him, I guess the personal challenge will be, can he bring that A game that he does on LAN so often to the online arena? Quite the opposite of some other players.
It is quite the opposite of some other players, and I mean, a lot of the players in that category will be relishing the chance to play online, won't they?
Yeah, I won't say which ones though. I don't want to burn too many bridges yet. We've still got 14 more games to go still.
True, it's a very hectic schedule. And as we said, 15 games packed into the space of what will be about 11 days. So plenty of time to bear with us just yet. So they are tweaking the server at the moment. They are going to try and go live shortly. The map is now on Mirage. I believe the players are starting to join the server. So this will get underway very, very shortly.
What do you think the key matchup on Mirage will be? What do you think, from what you've witnessed from both teams, who obviously have extensive experience watching both of these teams on LAN and online, what do you think the key facet, perhaps, or matchup of this map in particular will be? What's the thing to keep your eyes on?
I think the battle in mid is going to be key to this. Now, we know Team Immunity on Mirage, funnily enough, it's one of their better maps, so I think, as we said, Trident are really running into the lion's den here, but Trident, or should I say Immunity, really like to control mid on that terror side and that CT side, so that is key to this battle. And I think if Trident are able to win those key battles with that AWP matchup, maybe in that mid window there, or just wrestle some control of the short catwalk, that'll be key, because other than that, we all know that Mirage is very information based, and if you don't have control of mid, you're limited in what options you can I guess use. So I think mid will be the key matchup between these two teams, and I think be interesting battles going on there. So I think we identified Ricker as one of the keys to Team Immunity's arsenal in terms of AWPing, and I think if Trident can manage to control that economy, we might see quite a few rounds go their way on that T side.
It's interesting when I think of Trident's gameplay on Mirage, especially when you talk about controlling mid. I know a lot of teams, especially here in Australia, have lots of set smokes and flashes, especially in terms of the default, throwing them over the wall into the A-bomb site to allow them entry, or try and assist them to get entry. Trident also are very, very, very effective at throwing very clever smokes towards the stairs area and mid, or the short area I should say, as well as the mid-con area, to allow them to gain that map territory in mid. They throw these brilliant smoke grenades and flashes that really isolate the counter-terrorists and push them back quite deep into the bomb sites, and as a result they're able to get players such as Break into the ladder room, or vent room as some people refer to it. They're able to get players like Burn boosted into the window room without necessarily even taking a battle. They're very, very astute at gaining map territory without ever really putting themselves in danger. So that'll be a nice little balance for me. I think can Immunity recognise that, and what will they do to counter it? Many teams have tried. Not as many have succeeded, but obviously we've gone on and on about how talented Immunity are and how good they are at adapting to situations, but that's just something to keep your eyes out on.
Yeah, I just think Team Immunity aren't going to allow them that free roaming ability on a map like Mirage, so I think that is probably going to be a sticking point for Trident. So it'll be interesting to see how they actually cope with that, with not being allowed to play perhaps their natural game, or what they feel would be their natural game.
It does look as though the players are now joining, which is wonderful to see. We've got all 5 members of Team Trident in the server. I think we've got 4 members from Team Immunity, so very, very shortly, guys. We do apologise, but the match will be started very shortly. Of course, this is the first match of the season, so I think once the players are familiar with the process and understand, I think the rest of the, 2 weeks will run a lot smoother. So thank you for bearing with us. It looks as though they're almost in now, so we should get going very, very shortly.
Yeah, should be underway quite shortly. We didn't put a time caveat on it at all, did we?
No. Deliberately
vague. Run into
Jim.
that trap.
No, experience like that. We deliberately keep it vague.
That's experience.
That's experience. But in terms of, starting either side, we've mentioned the fact that Trident normally like to throw that little spade or spanner in the works, as they like to refer to it, and like to throw the knife rounds. Do you think there's any possibility, given the circumstances of this match, that they might actually compete and have their chance of choosing their side? Is there any chance of that happening?
Not at all.
Okay. You think that being on the world stage, they're going to be reveling in the opportunity to throw a knife round to an even wider audience than before? That's your mindset? Yeah,
I think certainly being exposed to an international audience will only aid in...
well, we'll tell you in a second, because we can confirm the match and knife round is now starting, so...
Feast your eyes on this.
Yeah, you can see that Immunity are heading out of spawn. They are intent on trying to take the battle with the knives, but I don't think they know what they're up against. You can see on the radar, the terrorists aren't moving. This is not a ploy. This is real life. All 5 terrorists still in T-spawn. I think they've actually gone AFK, Jim. I don't think they know it's live. So Immunity are a bit dumbfounded at this point. They're running around. Oh, they've just blink and you miss it. All 5 like that. Sniper, the question mark getting thrown around in the chat. He doesn't understand. He thinks there's a problem. It's beautiful to watch. Even the console, even the admins are asking if everything's okay. The admins just typed in the chat whether there was any technical issue there. No. Yellow's just confirmed, the team captain. They know what they're doing.
They know exactly what they're doing, and
they're giving IM their choice of sides.
They live for it. They really do live for it.
So do I. I'm looking forward to the next... We got 4 more matches of Team Trident. All very early on in the piece as well, so expect more of this. We can see, though, that Team Immunity, given the choice, Jim, have opted to start on the T side. So, given the fact that they have had 4 weeks off, interested to see what they will be bringing to this tonight. Normally, I guess, the T side does require, that chemistry and perhaps that practice to get things going. So, if they are coming into tonight a bit rusty, interested to see how they go on the T side that does require that set executes and on-point precision making.
Yeah, I think the interesting point for me is, essentially, Team Immunity... They might actually know what game Team Trident were trying to play, and seeing as they've given up the knife round there, they've actually thrown the ball back into Trident's court, because Trident normally would be taking the T side on Mirage, a map like Mirage. So they've essentially called their bluff and decided to throw Trident on that CT side. So this would be a very interesting matchup, because, as we know, CT side is a little less favoured than T, and starting cold in a match like this could prove devastating.
We are now going live. So CounterPit Season 2, the Australian Oceanic Division, has now started. Team Immunity here on Mirage. You can see that they've actually opted to buy some grenades on Sniper, 2 flashbangs and a smoke box. The rest of his teammates do have armor, and they are quickly and hastily making their way towards the B site. You can see they now have slowed down the pace, but look at the CTs lying there in wait. There's actually 3 of them on the radar. One sussing out short, but with short rotation towards B, he should be able to come back and help bolster the site. The call has been made. They are now rushing quickly onto the side, and Rick has actually dropped 2 frags. You can see that Justillo just trying to claim that short area, but Trident, Lonsdale, and Aiden really holding strong at this point. They're really locking down this site. It's down to a 2-on-2 situation, and bomb yet to be planted.
That bomb is yet to be planted. It's actually down the site, but Rick does take Aiden, who in the checker room there, and salvages around for Team Immunity. That was looking very dire.
Well, I think they got the 2 entries onto the site, but some great mid-round play there, particularly by Lonsdale at the fruit shop, as we called it, or short area, might be a more common term. Able to actually get 2 headshots and really halt their progress, but Rick, with the low HP, was able to make the headshots when they counted.
See, coming up clutch when his team needed it, and we identified him as a very strong clutch player. So, quite calm in that situation, that 1v1. As now we see Trident actually buying a few scouts, a few pistols. They're going to take this round to Team Immunity. Team Immunity now have the information that they need, though, and I guess they have moved away from that A site, as you can see, and are going to take control of mid here. Sniper will lead the charge, but Rickett takes a nice early frag on yellow on that T ramp, and Sniper now will continue to take that battle with Aiden, who actually has a scout on him there in mid. Takes a little bit of a bink for his trouble, but as we look on the overhead here, we do see Justillo leading the charge straight into that B side. That bomb will follow him there. Does take... No scout damage there done at all, but the bomb has made its way into the site. They continue to push through and unfortunately push Trident right out of the way there, but Aiden does come up with a great scout frag there to square the ledger a little bit and apply pressure.
The bomb has now been planted. It is a 4-on-4, but you can see here that the HP definitely in favour of Team Immunity, and with the confidence that they've now got off the back of that pistol round win, they're taking the battles to Team Trident and should be able to drop both of the scouts, which Trident had invested in, and of course all of the pistol armors that were on the remaining 3 players. All left up to Aiden. Has got 1 frag and trying to make it a double, but that he will not do as he does fall at the hands of Ricky. If it wasn't Ricky, it was someone else. They were pincering him at that time. He was short-lived for the world at that point. But 2-0, Team Immunity, and crucially, that force buy from Team Trident, they've been able to negotiate without too much of a loss.
Yeah, they managed to weather the storm that can be Trident's very aggressive game style on those eco rounds, but again, just on the overhead here, they're actually stacking numbers towards that A site, Team Immunity there. On the other side of things, Team Trident have actually opted to back that B site with that break in great position there. Has a lot of information in the underpass. Surely they will recognise soon as the battle rages on in A. Trades come down. Ricky does manage to square that ledger and take, I guess, the fight to Trident now with a 2v4 situation. They do take down, I guess, break the remaining member there, and luckily Emag is able to find yellow in that situation.
Yeah, they'll be quite content. You can see the money now building up on the T side. Immunity lucky, well not lucky, but they'll be happy, is the word I was looking for, to really get through those 2 anti-eco rounds without too much of a loss, and as a result they've really been able to start to build up that bank. It's important now as we move into the first gun round that Trident really gets some momentum under their feet. We said that Team Immunity were one of the best starting teams in Australia. Team Trident need to stop that, and as Aiden shoots to the smoke there, he will catch Emag off guard, almost tagging a second. You can see IM here pushing very, very quickly up onto mid, catching Burn off guard there at short, but Yellow able to make that crucial trade frag, so man advantage still in favour of Team Trident. You can see though, they're a bit cautious now. I think that caught them off guard, and with the smokes down in mid, covering their backs, Team Immunity are still able to move towards that B site. Aiden though, he's really stepping up to the challenge here well, drops himself a second for the round. Oh, but James with a nice headshot there as well, so expect the pace to now slow down. They have started to separate themselves across the map, but Immunity still down a man.
That's it, and I guess a little show of intelligence there. James not actually showing the bomb when he took that fight with the man in the mid window, so no real information just yet for Team Trident in that situation. Sniper and James will need to regroup here and pick which site they are going to assault. They don't really have a lot of time left up their sleeves. 40 seconds in the round, and it looks to be Sniper on the charge here at A. He will try and clear things out a little bit, but James is just sort of stuck back a little bit with that bomb, and Trident don't have any information as to what is going on here.
Well, they're slowly moving their way into the A side, and you can say they had 40 seconds. Well, they now got about 20 seconds, and they still haven't got the bomb down, and they still haven't got the information on where the CTs are. Sniper's not going to check behind the box. He will drop Aiden, but Drake, perhaps he was a little bit too passive there, but in the end, does get 2 frags to close out the round for Team Trident. The defuse will come in, and it will be Trident's first round here in CounterPit Season 2. But Jim, the crucial number for me in this round is the fact that only 2 members of Trident survived. We always talk about, especially on CTs, that if you're winning rounds, 3 is always that sort of minimum you're looking for, so you can, I guess, afford to drop those weaponry and utility next round to your teammates. But it's really going to keep a lot of pressure on Trident here, despite the fact that they won the round, to keep being able to equip themselves with the weaponry and utility that they need.
That is a lot of economic pressure, as you say, as we see Lonsdale actually picking up the slack there and grabbing that P90 for his team. So as you can see, he doesn't even have head armor. That's how much, I guess, financial distress the CTs are in at the moment. It's crucial that they win this round. And Team Immunity just have a nice easy spread across the map there. A very default approach to what will be a very crucial round in the context of Trident's half.
Well, you can see them quite spread out. You've got one in Palace, one in, I guess, T-Ramp there, but really the focus is in mid as Emag steps around there with a nice little pop flash to aid him around the corner. Does drop Aiden, so that's a crucial frag. That AWP will get recovered there by Lonsdale, who gets rid of that P90, which can be fantastic, but of course you would always trade it up for a beautiful Dragon Lore. But off the back of that mid frag, which has really spread the defense, look at Team Immunity here now gathering for an A execute. Prepare yourselves for an onslaught of smokes, flashes, and Molotovs.
That's it, and those are going to rain in on that A site. So they are going to burst straight through the fire and flames. And unfortunately, Lonsdale misses his AWP shot there, and Team Immunity take the site without too much fuss at all. Not losing a single member of their team, and that bomb will go down. Sniper does manage to get that plant as Lonsdale takes Ustillo through the spam spot there into the stairs, and James is in a great little position here. He does pick up the frag of Lonsdale there, so things are happening thick and fast for both teams as Burn is in a great position there, who does actually pick up a second with his spray. Sniper taking a lot of damage there. Rick Air does fall as well, and what a great little retake from Team Trident, but again, losing more members than that win bonus will cover.
You're right, but what a fantastic little spray down there by Burner, I think it was, at the flame box, grabbing 2 towards the Tetris area, and really brilliant recoil control there. Great management of the 128 tick server, just got in those 2 frags, and crucially, got Trident to a second round here, and they're starting to put some pressure on Team Immunity. Team IM will buy up, but look at this, they've got 2 Galils, some of the players lacking in utility as well, so Team Trident, they're on the verge here of breaking the economy. That's exactly what we said you needed to do when you're versing IM. Keep them low on money and keep the AWP out of their hands. Ricky there does take a nade to the face there to start out the round, but he'll try and put that to, I guess, some sort of good use if he can get a frag out of it, but not to be at this time. You can see Lonsdale, meanwhile, pushing down the A-ramp and catching the in-game leader in the former Sniper off guard. So a lot of map territory and a lot of information going Team Trident's way.
Yeah, they did pick up a nice early frag there onto Sniper, so keeping a lot of information out of Team Immunity's hands, and they do have control of this A site, as Aiden picks up a great frag there from Ticket Box straight into the catwalk, and Rick Air constantly taking a battle now with Yellow in that B site, unable to locate, I guess, the pinpoint direction of his head, but Lonsdale is taking a bit of a gamble here. They are up by 2 men, and he is getting a lot of information by pushing Palace there. And James, playing a dangerous game of hide and seek, does lose out to break in the mid-con as well. And that B side has been where it's at for Team Immunity, but not making the entries they need.
I just want to point out for everyone at home the fantastic job that Yellow did there in the B side. Early on in the round, he was the solo B defender, and let's remember, he actually faced a lot of early aggression from Ricker there. And I guess some other players perhaps might have faltered under those circumstances, or at least called for some backup. But like we said, he's very calm and collected and did a great job of just holding strong and allowed his teammates to get the frags on the other areas of the map. Great job by Yellow.
And Team Immunity aren't messing about. They are on eco here, and Lonsdale is picking up 2 frags with his P90, but does get traded out quite quickly, and the frags are coming thick and fast as Break and Aiden on the cleanup crew duties do dispose of Immunity quite quickly. Nice little eco. No mess, no fuss.
And not just that, they've taken the lead now. So Team Trident, 4 rounds to 3. They're pulled ahead of, I guess, what would be almost the competition heavyweights, the competition favourites, and they're starting off their campaign in fantastic fashion. I think poor old Lonsdale might need a new keyboard after that strafing effort we saw there in A site, but You can see now, I mean, you can afford to buy up. They've got all the smokes and flashes they need, and nice smoke there in mid just really allows them to step out quite safely there. And Rick here with, I think, most of the damage done by the AK through the smoke, but the HC does finish it off in the end. And again, the early frag going the way of Team Immunity. We have seen Trident in this position and have seen them turn it around, but it's always a tough ask. You can see the bomb slowly moving its way back towards A. Whilst they are keeping a member in B and a member in mid to maintain that presence and at least map territory, it does look as though A will be their main agenda.
That's it, and they will start to stream onto that site there. The Molotovs and the smokes are coming straight in. This yellow does find Sniper there in the palace, but isn't able to connect with any sort of meaningful damage at all. Emag there makes a dangerous cross into that A site there. His gun models are bugged for the moment. We know he's doing work. That bomb is going down at the boxes there, and he's actually within, I guess, an absolute whisker of 2 CTs there in a danger zone. He does see the shadows. He does have the information, does step, does take the frag there on Aiden, who does get the double with break as well. Great work from Emag there, just showing us how consistent and dangerous he can be, and now it is all too much to do for Burn. They do have low HPs, but unfortunately he's not to know that in this situation, and he will just try and save that AK.
I love the way then, as we do see Burn able to drop James there in the mid-con. His position is now known though, so I wouldn't be surprised to see I am swarming on his last known top of mid whereabouts. Ricky here looking, I'm wondering whether he will find that exchange. Doesn't look to be the case, so some nice hide and go seek work there by Burn. But I just love the way that I am, even when they got that early frag and made the correct call, and great call as it was to rotate back towards A, that they did still keep someone in mid, and as it was someone in underpass to continue throwing those nades to keep the attention of the Trident defenders. And in the end, it just weakened that A site, and you saw how well Emag was able to exploit that.
Exactly right. Now, Ricky just changing it up a little bit, not taking that fight in mid. We'll actually take the Palace push here with that AWP, and we'll have a lot of information for his team. As we see, Team Trident there with a very weird buy break, as we said, not known for using serious guns in all situations, does have one of, in my opinion, one of the best guns in the game. So underrated, that automatic shotgun, and I'm very interested to see how he's going to use it in this round.
Well, that's right. One of the best guns in the game, perhaps, when you're playing pubs, yes. But forget that. Scratch that. He's just taking down Rick here. The danger man of Team Immunity has been dispatched with a brutal pellet of bullets to the face there with the auto shotgun. But surprised to see that Break did change it up and pick up the AWP. That's quite unusual for him. He would have kept the auto shotgun in most times. That is a sign of this. He is taking this competition quite seriously. But you can see Trident now up a man, 4-on-4. It's important that they do get back on winning ways. You can see off the back of losing that early man, Team Immunity are quite stretched. You've got James here and Emag in mid-con trying to really open up the A site and really just cause some sort of distraction and fake, because the bomb, at least temporarily, was in the B halls, perhaps now making its way to underpass to regroup. Safety in numbers. Oh, nice frag there by Sniper, but he does get traded down by Yellow, and now, crucially, Aiden there at the ticket box does get some vision onto the T's moving up from mid-con, so Lonsdale doing a great job of capitalising on that information that Aiden was able to gather. And Emag put in a horrible position with only 14 seconds left on the clock. Does drop one. Surely he can't do this. I was about to say he hasn't done this, but Burn, after he finishes playing around with him, does decide to finish him off. And that will be another round for Team Trident.
I was going to say, to many of our viewers, it probably would look like Emag is simply playing Quake 3 without his gun model there, but rest assured, that is just a GoTV bug, and it does look quite comical actually, but he's doing a little bit of work there, and as we see, Team Immunity forced onto that pistol buy that may cause a bit of trouble here for Trident as they charge straight up the catwalk there. Burn, though, is licking his lips at the prospect of eco-frags and does pick up 3 for his trouble, and they do continue their reign of terror on through the mid there. Break on point with that shotgun, does find Sniper as well, $900, and a bit of embarrassment perhaps for the Team Immunity in-game leader. He will try and investigate his way through. Ricker, though, does have an AWP in his hands and will be a real threat here. Does miss a shot, though, onto Break and takes a lot of damage to the dome for his trouble. So 2v1 now. Situation slightly in favour of Trident, though, but we know how dangerous Rick can be with that AWP.
We can see him just waiting at the top of mid-con, and looked as though Trident would be unsure what they'd like to do. I think they wanted to boost into the window room as they are now doing. That smoke was a little bit off-putting for them. Perhaps a little bit suspicious of what lay behind those vapours, but Braid will now make his way through CT spawn and try and pincer the A-bomb site, which of course is where Ricky was last spotted. They will know he's low, but of course when you've got the AWP, if you can click on 2 players, that will be the round done. We've said how good of a clutch player he can be, but misses the second shot in the round, and again, Break makes him pay. 2 frags for the man with the auto shotgun, $1,800 in his bank, and I think an ego the size of something big, Jim. Something big.
Australia?
Australia, mate.
Australia. Crikey, that was a great round.
But we did say that I just Trident strength lay in their terrorist side, so they'll be so ecstatic with this start. Not just the fact they've got 6 rounds, as we see an aggressive underpass push there. Nearly, I thought James was able to make that frag, but Lonsdale did convert. But they'll be ecstatic with having lost the pistol that they've been able to turn this around, still knowing they've got their T side in the bag.
That's it, and action is furiously happening there in mid. Aiden does pick up a frag with that AWP, but Emag is able to find a reply frag onto Lonsdale. So 4v3, the current team members alive for each team. Sniper, though, shows a little bit too much leg for the liking of Burn and will fall in those B halls. So Team Immunity, though, have great territory here with Ricker. Great position in that halls, but unfortunately doesn't really have too much control over the site here. Very comfortable round here at the moment for Team Trident. They are a little bit split between the 2 bomb sites, but most importantly, they do have a little bit of control over the sites. So your move, Team Immunity. Imag only on 7 HP. Ricker will probably be the one to be looked at. Does get the frag there onto the T, or should I say CT ramp, and now a 3v1 will happen for Imagine. He does Quake model the man in CT spawn there, making a 2v1. Doesn't quite know the position of the others just yet, but 7 HP. Doesn't have too many mistakes to make. They do know his position now, and will struggle to get anything out of that round. Unfortunately, he does fall at the hands of Burn, but more importantly, gets a plant for Team Immunity.
Well, I guess we were warning people beforehand of the possibility of some rustiness within Team Immunity's play. Of course, they haven't practiced over the last 4 weeks. Coming in quite fresh. I think there are a few tweets flying around suggesting that perhaps, given, I guess, the magnitude of this competition and what was on offer, that perhaps they ought have spent a little bit more time preparing. But Team Trident are putting on a great show at the moment, really quite dominating on these gun rounds. If you think Team Immunity have won 4 rounds, but 3 of them include the pistol and 2 subsequent anti-ecos. So great showing by Trident. And as Aiden just opens up mid another time, it's really just all going their way. Ricker has managed to level the score for this round, at least temporarily. But Sniper, look above you. Put the crosshair up and you can just see he does catch Burn off guard there. No one watching underpass. Burn is punished and he'll be criticising or wondering where was that support he would have wanted.
So he did need a little bit more support in that situation, but Ricker making amends for his team's shortcoming. And we'll put a lot of pressure on Trident here. A 4v2 situation and a lot of map control to Team Immunity at the moment. As you can see, the CTs are very spread. In fact, they're almost miles apart there between the 2 sites. They do have good position here, Team Immunity. But unfortunately, Aiden Hu does catch Justillo quite early and will be traded out by Ricker there. Only skimming the top of his dome with that AWP, but enough to force now a 3v1. Yellow there has great position in mid-con. They don't know he's there just yet, but it's going to be a very tough ask for him to win this round. Ricker does know his position. The game is up for Yellow, and he's got a lot of work to do here if he's to try and win this round. Unfortunately, not able to do so. Another round Team Immunity's way, and I guess a little bit of economic pressure now being applied to the CTs. As you can see, a little bit of disparity with their money situation, should I say.
You can't help but feel and really be asking yourself, especially if you Burn, really what was going on in mid there. It just seemed like a little bit of a lack of communication for me. Really, you shouldn't ever have one player getting caught off guard there. Sure, it's fine to jump on the fence. I think he was actually looking over the smoke trying to gain a height advantage there into mid, but with no one watching beneath him, Sniper was able to walk out and really gain control of mid without too much danger. But Ricker, again, he was the man last round with a few key frags. He's opened it up, dropping Lonsdale. So you can see a lot of pressure now being applied with Trident. Their defense is quite stretched. They've got 1 at B, 1 at A, and 2 sort of hovering in between each site. But you can see Team Immunity quite content just to slow down the pace. That has been a bit of a change up the last few rounds. They are now moving a couple of members into the A bomb site, as you can see with the overlay. But the bomb has been left behind, waiting for the final execute to come in. And it will be now. Sniper does move up the T ramp and catches Aiden, who off guard there at the ticket box. And blinking and miss at the A site has now been wrestled, and they do have control of it completely. The bomb will get planted. And this will shortly be around surely for Team Immunity. And it is. James does get him through the smoke there. Position known with all the noise he was making. 7-6 to Team Trident.
That's it. And Trident just being picked apart there by a very patient Team Immunity. They had mid-control there. They did use it quite well and simply just split onto that A site. Trident not really able to do too much. In fact, they were shot a lot of the times through smokes before they could do anything. So that's great awareness from Team Immunity in that sort of situation. But The eco will come in from Trident there. Ustillo just making things happen on that A side. Does pick up a cheeky little 1B frag there onto Lonsdale. Backed up by teammate James now. They do have a 5v2 situation. Knowing that Trident are on eco. Emag, though, Quake 3ing his way around that map, and now Yellow, unfortunately not able to do too much in that situation. Will be cleaned up. Immunity have squared the legend now, 7 all apiece, and this will be a very key round in the context of this game.
Definitely. I mean, not just this one round in itself. I mean, obviously the winner of this round will win the first half, goes without saying, but more importantly for me, the momentum. I think if Team Immunity were able to close out what would be their 4th round in a row, they're going to go into the second half with a lot of confidence under their belts. Whereas Team Trident will be wanting to, I guess, finish off on a high note, given how well they had started the half, at least the gun rounds. Ricky, he has been the danger man, and through the smoke, I'm not sure if he can see something I can't, but he has managed to drop break there with a nice little AWP shot through the smoke. He's really been doing the damage. He's already massed up 18 frags in this first half, most of them AWP frags as well, and actually opening up a lot of rounds for his team and really giving them a great chance. I think the stat is 75% of rounds are won when you do get the opening frag. So really giving his team the best chance to succeed, and they're really just capitalising on that. Ustillo's got one, James with another. All of a sudden it's down to 2 remaining members of Trident, and it's going to be a very tough ask as they're nowhere near the A-bomb site. However, Team Immunity are, and the bomb will shortly be planted.
That is, they do have to go for this round there, being the last round of the half. It's not a favourable situation for Trident, but they need to make the best out of what is a dire situation. They do, unfortunately, fall victim to the AWP of Ricker, and 8-7 the score. Team Immunity capitalising, I guess, at the end there on the form. Now, they are starting to tick over. The cogs are starting to turn into Immunity now, warming into this season. We know they've been inactive, but it took them a few rounds to get back into this game.
Well, that's right. It's interesting for me if you look at the pattern of the half there. You saw Immunity come out, they won the pistol round, and obviously that set them up well for the second and third rounds when they were in the stronger financial, I guess, position, the anti-eco rounds. But really, the middle rounds of the match, they were all going Trident's way. They started off quite well. Aiden was making some fantastic shots, and I really liked some of the timed and coordinated pushes from Team Trident, be it on A-ramp or into underpass, really catching and bringing the game to Immunity and catching them off guard. But I think the experience, and I think as some of the cobwebs started to come off Team IM's play, they started to close out and ultimately won the half.
We are into the pistol round here as Trident do bank up onto that A site. Yellow trying to sell a bit of a fake here, but the game is up as they are taking the fight there. Ricker, 2 pistol frags early on. We identified him as a great pistol player, but Emag chiming in with a few frags of his own, simply just being cleaned up. It was all too easy for Team Immunity there, just a little bit of a shooting gallery onto that A site. But Ricker just showing us how strong he can be with that pistol. As we said, his bailout weapon sometimes when he's under the pump with that AWP.
Yeah, they actually sent Yellow there, the team captain, over towards the B site to try and sell a little bit of a fake, but just a few utility grenades isn't going to be enough to convince a team such as IM to rotate off a site. So they held strong on B, just as the A members did, and in the end it was a shooting gallery, like you say, for Ricker and Emag. Great work by IM, and great way to start the second half for them. We can see here that Trident have invested into this second round. They do have, I guess, their choice of Tech 9s or CZs, at least until Sniper and Ustillo had their way. They've very quickly gone down. So what was a force buy is quickly becoming a graveyard, as it's all left up to burn in a 1-on-3. Position is now known. He is hiding behind the camper van. At least he was until James closed him out.
Yeah, Team Immunity probably not doing it as easily as they wanted to in that situation, knowing it was a full eco in many situations for Trident, but they did lose 2 guns, and I think they shot James down to within an inch of his life, so could have been a much different story there for Trident had they perhaps capitalised a little bit better. So we will see again another eco come in, and Trident just taking the fight.
That's right, they're a bit more separated this time. I think they all gathered up at B, but they have now split their offense, but the end result will still be the same either way. 2 have already fallen. Sniper trying to make it 3, but Ustillo just rolling in the flags at this point, and it's just really building up their economy a bit. I must admit, I'm surprised to see that Ricker actually went for the FAMAS quite early on. Of course, he is the AWP player within the team. He loves the sniper rifle in his hands, but by committing to the FAMAS, it's meant that now, as we do see him upgrade to the AWP, he's only left with $350 in the bank, so I'm not sure if that was the best financial decision for him, but he'll be backing himself to stay alive with that gun in any case. He's not thinking about the money.
It's not about the money, says PK, as Team Immunity just getting a lot of information there. James in a great little position at that T-ramp. But Break catches Ustillo pushing through the underpass there, and Team Immunity now will have to play this round out without one of their star fraggers. So Lonsdale has, I guess, is within close distance to one of the CCC. Perhaps heard James moving around a little bit. Is a little bit aware of a presence there. Has heard some sound on T-Ramp. Great little crossfire here. Does catch James out. They are just playing a really patient game, knowing Team Immunity do like to get a lot of information with their pushes, and Team Immunity now will struggle to try and hold 2 sites with 3 members.
That's exactly right. We did say that Trident were a well-structured team. Everyone knows their role. As Ricky gets a nice raid there onto yellow, so they know what angles are being covered and what aren't. And you can just see picking off a little bit of some IM players there who are a little bit too aggressive. But EMAG, meanwhile, has actually managed to ninja down the A ramp and catches one, does get a second there, and break just behind is quite low. So a well-placed HE grenade or even a flash might do the job, but not quite the case as break does drop in. But Lonsdale has moved into the site. They have opened up the A-bomb site. The bomb will go down, and Ricky, we did say with the AWP, he can't afford to die because he won't be able to afford any gun next round. He needs to win this. Let's move in towards the jungle. Lonsdale set up well at the ticket box, does spot some eyes onto him, and as does Break, but as Break rotates around the box, Ricky picks him up with the Fammers, which he has temporarily exchanged. Knows the position of Lonsdale. The bomb is planted, so he's playing the time, and Lonsdale steps around enough to get him off the bomb, and the second peak will be enough to end Rick's life. Great work by Trident there.
Yeah, great work by Trident there, but as we see, they are penalised financially by that round coming down to a 1v1, so they will buy some non-favoured weapons there, as we see some Tech 9s, a P90 and 2 AKs come out from Trident there. I guess more importantly, a lack of utility, so they aren't really going to be able to play a long round, but Team Immunity there on the other side of things, just forcing the issue there. Rickett takes a little bit of damage in mid there for peeking a little bit early. Ustillo, though, is able to manage to catch 2 of Trident off before he's traded out by Lonsdale. They do continue to push onto this B site. Sniper forced to go 3-on-1 as his team comes rallying to his support, and they are just holding this plant off just temporarily as Trident do pick up a frag there. Yellow does pick up the Tech 9 frag, and James now will continue to push into the site. He needs to continue to push the issue, as now it's a 3v1 situation there. Yellow can do this, but unfortunately not able to do so. Team Immunity, quite a rousing, I guess, reception onto that B site there, and did enough to delay the plant of Trident for them to get into position and put a lot of pressure on. 35 seconds is a long time to try and hold a site, particularly when you have 3 or 4 members of Team Immunity breathing down your neck.
That's right. They really just swarmed, didn't they, on that retake there, Team Immunity. I love the way in which they didn't give Team Trident any room to breathe. I think that poor old Yellow there was stuck at bench there with only Tech 9 and limited HP, and a couple of his teammates, they went down very quickly as the attack came in on that retake. So great work by Team Immunity. You can see that Team Trident are still trying to force the issue. They have force port, but again, it's questionable in the sense that they've got 3 pistols, a UMP, and an AK. If there was anything I would say in their favour as they prepare for an A attack, Burn is one of the greatest UMP players in Australia, so at least they might have that going for them, but not much else as the smokes and flashes come raining in. They do spot out one member there. James does fall early, and with the effective set execute that they had planned out, Burn does catch EMAG there, flashed near the T-ramp, and very, very quickly, unexpectedly you'd have to say, they've managed to turn this around, and as Burn just looks up into the air, we had the benefit of seeing that he looked at a teammate quite long time there, but Ustillo does get 3, and all of a sudden this round is too close for comfort, down to a 1-on-2. He's still in the middle of the site, knows there's one behind him. Meanwhile, Lonsdale with a great Molotov there towards the bomb, just stalling for time. He's still having to watch forwards and backwards. It's ever so difficult. And in the end, I think he makes the wise decision to bail. But I think it's almost fair to say that is a round that Trident really pulling a rabbit out of the hat just there. Limited weaponry, limited utility, but putting it to good use in any case.
It is the Trident magic show as they somehow make that round work. It looked to be very rugged thereby, that's for sure, as I guess Steve Irwin would be proud in the sense that their survival skills were put to the test in that round. So Trident, on the flip side, we see them now forcing an eco out of Team Immunity. Look at the money situation for them, unfortunately, as they do struggle to put together a buy, and they are going to gamble things there. They are going to take a lot of control in mid, but Trident just playing a very patient game. They're just going to wait for the push that they know is going to come from Team Immunity.
You're exactly right, and that push does come, but it's short-lived as Ustillo loses his head there, pushing up mid for information. And not much information you can gather other than the fact that Trident have mid on lockdown. Ricky now will see a couple of members moving in, swarming almost onto the B site. The bomb will shortly find its way into the side as well, and as Ricker falls, so does the last defensive member there. Lonsdale here should catch a flanking member in the form of James, and very, very quickly, I think we're seeing Trident moving towards double digits and putting on a great showing here. I think a few people were writing them off before the match, but they're really showing why they deserve to be in this competition. A great team full of amazing chemistry. It's great to see them performing so well now.
That's it, and I guess Team Immunity really being punished for that time off that they've taken, and whether they can blow out the cobwebs in time will remain to be seen as Sniper does pick up Lonsdale there. Just getting a little bit too comfortable with his surrounds. Emag takes the wise decision not to take the fight on Catwalk there because he knows there's someone in closer proximity to him, as he does actually manage to pick up that frag and, more importantly, pick up a gun for himself as he has an AK equipped. So Team Immunity do manage to pick up 2 guns out of that round.
Not only are they clawing their way back into this, they're also, this is a warning shot at all the other competitors out there who are watching this match. Trident are a team to be reckoned with, and they've come into this competition ready and rearing to go. You can see now that Team Immunity have force sport. It has unfortunately meant, I thought it meant that Sniper was under-equipped, but no, he does get the benefit of getting dropped a weapon there. So they do have rifles across the board and an AWP in Ricke's hand. He will be the man. He doesn't have any utility, so he'll be relying on the strength of that Sniper rifle and putting that scope to good use. You can see, though, Trident quite content. One of the key facets of their terrorist play, and it's something to keep your eyes out for, not just tonight, but over the next 2 weeks, is the fact that they routinely and deliberately leave the bomb in the middle of their spawn until midway through the round. It has now been recovered, but they do that so that it's well positioned to very, very quickly move between A or B depending on what information is getting fed to the in-game leader. It has now been picked up quite conveniently by Lonsdale, the in-game leader, and you can, I guess the information there would be that A would be on the cards given the fact that he is still sticking around T-Ramp.
That's it, and they are exacting some control on mid as they do charge up that mid-con there. Yellow just watching the flank to see if anyone's pushing out the short, but they are putting a lot of pressure now onto this A site as Break and Yellow open exchange, but Yestillo picks up 2 frags quite quickly there and squares the ledge of Team Immunity. He does, unfortunately, not buy enough time for Imagine to survive in that situation, and Aiden will get this plant. A 2v2 situation will come, and more importantly, that Rick AWP is still a massive factor here, but they do only know the whereabouts of only one member of Team Immunity. Justillo does take the first frag here. It's all to do for Burn. And can he stand up to the pressure of Team Immunity? Does take the first 2 frags and somehow win that round. Pull it out of the fire for Team Trident. They are within, I guess, a bee's...
Jim's speechless. I can see on Stripe right now. He's at a loss for words, but incredible play by Burn. More so the fact that Justillo there on the stairwell had actually stepped around and spotted his head at T-Ramp. So his position was known by both Justillo and Ricker. But the pure fact that Burn, we said he was the entry factor, we said he was impactful and explosive. Well, what better illustration could we provide than him ripping the heads off both players from Team Immunity and really forcing them onto another eco round. So I am here with just pistols. They have lost 2 members and the bomb will go down in the B side. This is fantastic play by Trident. They're keeping the money of Team Immunity low, but more importantly for me, Jim, they're keeping the spirits of the team low. Frags like that help though.
Frags like that do a lot for a team, but Ricker is able to pick up an AK for his trouble there. I believe he's just going to opt to try and save that there. He's made his way through T-Spawn to try and keep that in Team Immunity's possession because that'll be a massive boost to their economy next round. And I guess James and Emag just waiting, watching, trying to get a few exit frags there. They will not manage to catch Ricker. He is simply too good at hide and go seek for now. But Trident successfully pull level with Team Immunity.
Well, not just that, they've actually won 4 of the last 4 rounds and 5 of the last 6. So they've got all the momentum up their sleeve at the moment. And I've been so impressed with the way they've been able to get back into each half. Immunity actually have won both pistol rounds. And the fact that I guess the score currently reads 12-all is great testament to the fact that Trident have been the better team so far from what we've seen on the gun rounds at least. And that really bodes well as we're moving towards the latter stages of this match. They've certainly caught IM off guard and putting up a great showing for themselves. You can see Ricky here with your very, very boldly moving up mid. Does put down a flash grenade to try and aid his, I guess, attack towards the wagon. Whilst he does have map control, he was spotted out. So the T's will now be very, very wary of that. And they'll feed that information back to Lonsdale. Again, note that the bomb on the overlay is just sitting at T-spawn, yet to be recovered. As I pointed out, they do pick it up. But again, every round they'll do the same thing. They want to be very, very flexible in how they move between sites. I think they're now just trying to slowly regain mid-control there. And Ricky has fallen from that wagon position. So that will give that map territory, if Trident are bold enough to step out to mid, to Trident Esports.
And they will throw a few set execute smokes here, but the bomb is just sitting at the top of mid, waiting for a Q, and it will go through the B hills there. Ricky does pick up a great frag onto Lonsdale as Ustillo pushes out into catwalk there, picking up burn, and things are fast going the wrong way for Team Trident as they will now hit this B halls, and they are well aware of their position. Break on that lurk, just getting that frag of Emag there, and he's a present threat now in the back of Team Immunity, and great work from Ustillo, managing to pick up another frag for the round. Aiden, though, is alone on this B bomb site. Will need to try and clear the site and then, of course, get the plant. Break really needs to come to the aid of his teammate here. And quite quickly, does come face to face with Sniper. And unfortunately, not a lot of time left with Rick just cleaning up that round for Team Immunity. And Trident now will bide in this next round. Their money will, I guess, prop them at this point. But danger signs for Team Immunity, though, if they potentially lose this round.
I just felt as though Trident perhaps were a little bit unsure of what the best move was once they had spotted Ricker at top of mid. I think his presence there almost scared them, as it would any team in their right mind, with one of the best players and definitely the best AWPer in the country at the top of mid, breathing down your neck. But I think it left them in no man's land, but they have gone back to one of their tried and tested set execute, so the smokes and flashes will come over A. But look at the fast rotation from Team Immunity. There's actually 4 members inside here, but so far it's all going Trident's way. They've grabbed one, and Break, completely blind, but actually grabs the second as Burn seals the deal on Ustillo. It's left Sniper and Ricky with no option but to save their weapons. Fantastic execute and great trading there. Not even trading, but great teamwork to cover their team in some perilous situations. Fantastic work by Trident.
It's really important, though, that Team Immunity save these guns because their money situation is not the best right now as Ricker reveals his position by missing that shot. And Trident are very much on the hunt here. And if they lose these guns, Team Immunity will be forced to eco. And at this stage of the game, that could be very, very, I guess, crippling for their chances of winning this first map. Ricker does manage to pick up a frag and prolong his life in this round a little bit longer. And they do manage to successfully save those guns. So Team Immunity, I guess, avoid a dire situation.
Yeah, actually, great work by Rick there. Hats off to him. He got 2 frags, but I love the use of that Molotov, stopping those last 2 members of Terrorist going into the B halls. But he's really been putting in work, hasn't he? 28 frags for Rick, 7 MVP stars, and we all know that that's a definite indication of great performance. But Rick really standing up, but he needs some of his teammates to come with him. He does have a gun, obviously, that he saved, as does Sniper, so a lot of pressure on those 2 players this round. Trident, they'll know that Team Immunity is quite hurt for money, so it's no surprise to see them very, very slow and methodical, just trying to suss out where those 2 weapons are and where the holes are potentially in the defense. Team IM quite content, though, just to hold back, so no information forthcoming at this point.
It is a very, very slow round from Trident. A bit of a break from what we saw last round. The round that actually won them that key exchange, as they do now exact a little bit of control over mid. And not really a lot of information here for Team Immunity. They are throwing smokes and flashes onto that A site. And it looks to be an A split here as they send members up the CT connector there. Lonsdale on point in the site. Sniper, save that gun last round there. We'll pick up 2 frags. And now, Trident on the back foot. Their mid-split has been worked out. Emag there, picking up another frag. And a lot of pressure now on Yellow. He needs to channel that Battlefield, I guess, experience, but not able to do so. Team Immunity working a great eco round there and putting the pressure back on to Trident.
I think the GoTV's just skipped, Jim, because it's almost gone straight into another round. I don't know what's just happened there, but all of a sudden we're halfway through into the next round. So 14-13. I've never seen that happen before, but 14-13. You can see that Trident have full support now. They'll be disappointed that they lost last round, particularly the IM are on eco, but if they were to win this round, that would quickly turn the tide back in their favour. But IM are not having a piece of it. They've already got 3 frags, and with the bomb under their control and smokes and flashes laid down to thwart the offense, it will quickly and surely be around here going IM's way, and that would bring them to 15 rounds.
It would, but Yellow again in a situation where he has to pull something out of the hat for his team and not able to do so. The money on Team Trident, though, doesn't really afford them a lot of options as Team Immunity now on match point and looking to close out the first map in this series.
Ricky already has got 29 frags. He's going absolutely ballistic at the moment and really carrying his team tooth and nail to this victory. Of course, there is overtime, so if Trident are able to get the next 2 rounds, we will be going to some thriller, deciding rounds to work out who will be victorious. But you can see they're trying to take quite early mid-control, but Ustillo, Great work there, positioning himself very close to the smoke, finding the gaps, finding the holes, and absolutely tearing that offense to shreds. And as Lonsdale goes down and yellow, all of a sudden, blink and you miss it, Trident have been eliminated off the map. The last 3 rounds going IM's way, and 16-13. They clinched the first map of CounterPit Season 2.
16-13 the score there. Trident giving a really good account of themselves on that first map. Obviously, it was their pick at, I guess, the start of things. And we will go on to Keish very, very shortly, which is Team Immunity's pick. But many people, including myself, predicted Trident to be simply just wiped off the map there. And if we look at those odds on any sort of CSGO Lounge or EGB, we see that, yeah, not many people favoured Trident at all.
I guess to my credit, and I do like talking my own story up a little bit. Of course, Jim, you know that, knowing me for over 10 years. But I did say that I suspect it will be a close first map. I think if you're a Team Trident fan, you'd have to be disappointed, honestly, with the way that map finished. I mean, they'd been showing such great strength to lose both pistol rounds and the subsequent eco rounds, I guess, at the start of each half. That's already 6 rounds that you've given away. But to be able to fight tooth and nail, to be in a position there at 13 all, to really take 1 foot over the line there and get that first map, to lose to an eco round, that's got to be heartbreaking for the team. It has to be.
Yeah, it has to be heartbreaking for the team. I mean, they were so close. They were on the cusp